Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we're on the website of French auction portal Intrashare and we're going to have a look at an auction by Millon Auctions. So this particular auction is quartet instruments, so kind of violins, etc. and bows, and it's happening on the 29th of May. It's the 18th today, so a few days left to go. I'll put a link to the catalogue in the description. This particular auction, not very many lots, only 71. Buyer's premium is 25%, so whatever the final hammer price is, you need to pay that percentage on top. So this is a French auction, so bear that in mind if you're looking to buy something outside of France. Import, export, CITES restrictions, all of that fun. For those of you that have watched the channel, you probably know of Apollyon auctions, which was another auction house we used to cover. They've been absorbed by Millon now. There are sometimes some references to Apollyon, but essentially it is Millon now. So if you do enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing, like, comment, turn on notifications, all of that fun stuff, because it really does help. Without further ado, let's just see what's going to happen. So yeah, 29th of May, plenty of days to look at the catalogue. Let's see if there's anything interesting going on here. So we've got an estimate of 10 to 12,000 euros, 18th century French violin. Okay, with an illegible label there. 364 length of back, which is fairly long. Certificate from Etienne Vatelot there. So a few pictures there. A lot of stuff has been removed. It seems like quite a high estimate in my opinion, but you never know. Got a French violin here with a label of Francesco Ruggier. 358 length of back, 100 to 200 on that. Nothing too exciting on that one. Right, a French violin, Colin Mazat, with a Storioni label there, 1000 to 1200. Quite interesting F holes on that. I think this will probably do quite well. 357 length of back, few repairs. Golden orange varnish reworked, so bear that in mind. French violin made by Paul Bailly with a label, Strad label there. 2.5 to 3,000 euros. 357 length of back. Quite a nice back on that. Always a popular maker, this. Inscription inside, so I'm sure that will do quite well. Right, a violin, probably Italian, 20th century, with a label of Coletto Anselmo. 5 to 7,000 on this. 354 length of back, kind of Guarneri-esque F holes. Certificate there as well, supposedly from the maker. So interesting speculative one there. Oh, sorry, it's a Gilles Chanceroul certificate there, not from the maker. So there you go. Interesting. Right, French violin, made by Nicolas Emile Cherpetel. 3 to 4,000 on this. 1874, 358 length of back. Needs a bit of attention. It's like quite a nice varnish on that actually. You can see, shame we don't have more pictures. We must carry on. 19th century French violin with a mark and signature inside. Okay, 4 to 600 to be restored. Okay, oh interesting, comes with a very old case. Quite curious, not too bad on the estimate there. French Mirecourt violin with a label made under the direction of Fernand Jacot. Okay, 800 to 1200 on that. Okay, 354 length of back, so that's kind of okay. French violin made by Jean Trocard, 18th century. Iron mark under the heel, Trocard, 1500 to 2000 there. 350 length of back, okay. Baroque mounted there. That's quite nice actually. Yeah, this is fairly nice. Actually, I think it's quite a fair estimate really, 1500 to 2,000 euros. I quite like that actually so far. It's quite a nice instrument. French violin made by Gustave Viaume, for which it bears a label Gustave Viaume Nancy, 1946. 1800 to 2000. Very kind of Guarneri-esque F holes there. Really quite nice back there. These pictures aren't of the highest quality or definition, unfortunately. so not very good for zooming in, but interesting nevertheless. 357 mil length. German violin from the 20th century. Beautiful German instrument, okay, 358 mil length the back. 500 to 700. I just think it's a fairly standard trade instrument, but of a higher level, I would think. French violin made by Paul Jean Bar, 1906, 3.5 to 4.5 there. 359 length the back, that kind of deep red that some of these French instruments have. French musical violin there, Pierre Bruguière at Douai, 1913, 3 to 4, 356 length the back there. Let's see what else we got here. French Stentor 1 violin, of which it bears the marks on the back of the head and inside. Stentor 1. So this is going to be a Nicolas Viaume workshop kind of instrument, as I think he was in charge of these Stentor instruments. 5 to 7, 359 length the back, worm traces. Yeah, quite nice instrument. I think 5 to 7 is actually quite a fair estimate, I think, for that. So, German violin with a label Werkstatt Rouge, 360 length the back, comes with a student bow, 1200 to 1500. Quite like this kind of decoration, it's fairly nice. Okay. And we've got an 18th century German violin without a label, 360 length the back, 5 to 700. Clearly needs a bit of TLC, but interesting enough. 19th century German violin, 2 pieces, beautiful made, bearing the Steiner brand under the heel of the neck, 2 to 300. So it's just a real generic trade violin. So, right, French violin attributed to Georges Chanot, made in a copy of Maggini, 15 to 18,000 there. Dendrochronology, find a violin by Jean-Baptiste Viaume with the same spruce. Okay, interesting. 366 though, absolutely huge. I really don't know what the French were kind of doing, continually making these huge instruments, but anyway, nice looking violin. JTL violin here, 359 length back, 3 to 400, fairly low tier instrument there. French violin made by Colomazat Père, 1874, 7 to 9, 355. People absolutely love these violins for some reason. Really nice back on that actually, so that will do well, I'm sure. French musical violin there, made under the direction of Paul Jean Bar, 2 to 300. Okay, so far not too bad, at least fairly interesting. French musical violin with the Guadagnini label, just looks fairly standard there. We're suffering from internet issues there. French violin by Lebert there, 1200 to 1500, actually looks in fairly good condition. French violin made by Millon, 4.5 to 6, needs a new bridge and setup, etc. Right, an Italian violin made by Giovanni Battista Gabrielli with a handwritten label there. Okay, let's see. Old invoices from Gustave Bernardel. Various restorations, lining the heel of the neck, small breaks, 40 to 60 on that. Interesting looking violin, 40 to 60. Right, an Italian violin attributed to Laurentius Storioni with a label. And a label of Jean-Baptiste Viaume. Okay, interesting. 356 length back. This has a Gilles Chanterelle certificate and one by David Hill. So 100 to 120,000. Interesting F holes on this. So it's curious. So they want 100 to 120,000 on that. Okay, very interesting. There's Dr. Hill certificate there. Okay, and there's the images there, and the certificate from Gilles Chanterelle. So it's interesting that they're giving it a Storioni. David Hill, is also giving it as story only, but they are saying attributed to, so there must be some disagreement about what this instrument actually is. So that's at least a curious one in any case. French violin made by Georges Apparu there, 2 to 3,000 on that. Kind of nice enough, 359 length of back. 19th century German violin, 1500 to 2000. That's kind of nice enough, needs obviously some TLC. French violin by Lucien Schmidt, Grenoble, 1500 to 2000 there, 356. Really quite interesting F-holes there, and a nice choice of wood for the back. French violin made by Paul Cowle there, Paris 1942, 5 to 7. A lot of people talking about Paul Cowle at the moment. There seems to be a lot of instruments floating about. French violin, 19th century. Okay, handwritten label, Johannes Franciscus Targnani, 1500 to 2000. That's quite nice. Let's see, French violin made by Hippolyte Chrétien Sylvestre, 10 to 12,000 on that. So 357 length of back. Nice kind of wood on that. I'm sure that will also be popular. French violin made by Germain Trumpf, which bears the mark Strasbourg there. Made in Strasbourg 1991, 354 length of back. Okay, so carrying on, 20th century German violin there, 150 to 200, nothing too much to see there. French musical violin with a Testore label there, 150 to 200. Kind of interesting back on that actually, that's quite nice. 355 length of back, had some worm. French violin made under direction of Amati Maginot, 800 to 1200 on that. Definitely aggressive F-holes on that. 354 though, nice respectable length of back. French musical violin by H. Emile Blondelet, 800 to 1200. French viola Blanchard, the label for Lugdunum, 1000 to 1200. Quite a nice back on that, 407 length of back, it's not too bad. Well, can't have a French auction without some kind of hurdy-gurdy, can we? So here we are, made by Marcel Soing, 1962 there, 5 to 700. The estimate, they love a hurdy-gurdy in France. Another one here as well, 600 to 800 there, with a man's head. Nice case, nice colour actually in that case, quite like that. A Serenette, okay, probably made by Morlot in Mirecourt, 18th century. It's quite cute. Right, we've got a Flemish cello made at the end of the 17th, beginning of the 18th century in the entourage of Gaspard Bourbon. Okay, 22 to 25,000. It's quite an interesting cello. I wish there was a few more pictures, and better quality pictures would be good. French cello made by Gustave Bazard there, 1909, 4.5 to 5. Once again, fairly nice looking instrument there. French Mirecourt cello there, 20th century, 2.5 to 3 on that. Modern 20th century cello, the label after Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne. Okay, 1800 to 2000, needs a bridge and things, etc. Okay, we've got a few bows. Violin bow made by Nicolas Simon there, 5 to 7,000 on that. Interesting looking bow. Also probably needs to make me rethink some of the bows that I look at auction. Violin bow in Pernambuco, 150 to 200 on that. Violin bow, interesting bow, probably made by Morizot, 100 to 200. Again, looks like, oh, and a 3/4 French violin is included. I was getting confused there. I thought I'd read it wrong, but interesting. Silver mounted bow, broken stick to be restored. Yeah, nasty head break there. Right, a few more bows here. Violin bow attributed to Le Fleur, 3.5 to 4 on that. Good pictures of the bows actually. 19th century violin bow, exotic wood, 4 to 600. I really like these kind of bows. And they're great. Probably not great for modern playing, but quite interesting. Violin bow made by Marco Raposo. I think it's one of the Brazilian makers there. 6 to 800 on that. Violin bow made by Joseph Alfred Lamy, also known as Lamy Pair. 5 to 6 on that. Interesting. Violin bow bearing a mark of A. Lamy. 150 to 200 on that. Miracle violin bow, 4 to 500. Ooh, let's see what else we got here. Violin bow made by A. Caballero, Luzerne. Okay. Violin bow bearing the mark L. Dolphin, Brussels, 100 to 200. Right, a bow by Bazin with a C. Bazin mark there, 3 to 400. Violin bow made by Lebert, 3 to 400. Miracle violin bow bearing the mark Chanot Chardon, probably made by Maurice Frère, 800 to 1200. Needs a bit of work. Quite a nice looking bow. Right, violin bow made by Eugene Nicholas Sartori here, 14 to 15,000. Needs a bit of TLC, but quite a nice bow there. Violin bow made by Kino Huri there, 1,000 to 2,000 on that one. Violin bow attributed to Charles Louis Bazin, 2 to 4 on that. Violin bow made of Pernambuco, okay, pretty vague, 2 to 300 on that. And a viola bow made by Henri Louis Guillet, 4 to 5 on this. Okay, it's quite a nice bow. Interesting viola bow, late 19th century French, 800 to 1200. Really like the eye on that. Fairly looks like quite low quality ebony on the frog, but quite a nice looking bow otherwise. Cello bow made by Joseph Henri, 1850, 14 to 16,000. Okay, certificate from Gilles Chancerelle and Barbarossa in Austria. Interesting. Yep, nice looking bow there. Miracle cello bow, 4 to 600 there. Double bass bow bearing a mark of Thomasin, 4 to 600 on that. Kind of French style cello, double bass bow. Lot of bows, 3 bows including a El Morizon violin bow, some other bits here and there, and a lonely frog, 80 to 100. And actually, let's see, are there any other pictures? No, I think it's just that picture. 80 to 120 euros. Lots of bows and accessories, various stuff. Okay, 40 to 60. And a Selma alto saxophone, 1500 to 2000. So, bit of a random mixture of things here, but predominantly kind of violins and kind of bows. But yeah, not a bad auction. Some few things, some kind of slightly curious looking items, some really decent stuff, and some things which are a bit questionable. But yeah, I think one of the more interesting auctions. So I'll put a link to the catalogue in the description as always. Check it out, see what you think. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.